in getting the or the heirs and receiving the inheritance. That's why when he goes to Sinai, or he's at Sinai with the 12 tribes, and he speaks to them, and he lays out what he expects out of them, what do they tell Moses? What did the 12 tribes tell Moses? They go back and tell your Elohim the word that he speak what? We will do it. In other words, will you marry me? I do. That's very important. So, now I'm going over all this for a reason. But you have to get these little things right here out of the way. This is the only way those outside of the body can understand and won't take offense to what we say, what we said. If you have this understanding, you will have the our reasonings for saying it. Now, let's go to Shemot or Exodus 19 and 17. Down to the 18th verse. Did we just read that? Okay, we did? Okay, yeah, let's go to Exodus, Shemot.
Shemot or Exodus 19 verse 17. And Moshe brought forth the people out of the camp to meet with Elohim, and they stood at the nether part of the mountain. And Mount Sinai was altogether on a smoke, because Yahuah descended upon it in fire, and the smoke thereof ascended as the smoke of a furnace, and the whole mount quaked greatly.
Okay then. So, what people did Moses bring forth out of the camp to meet with Elohim? Israel. Israel. It would have been Israel. But also a certain group out of Israel. But when we go to Exodus 19, let's go to Exodus 19. Let's read, I'll take it back. Sorry, Exodus or Shemot, the 24th chapter. Let's read from verse 3 all the way to verse 12. 24. The 24th chapter, starting at verse 3. Now pay very close attention to these words which are spoken. Now listen to Zarvacan real good as you read this. And take your time when you read it too, because I want y'all to focus on every word that's being said. Think of the audience, think of who's speaking and the audience he's speaking to.
Shemot or Exodus 24 verse 3. And Moshe came and told the people all the words of Yahuah and all the judgments, and all the people answered with one voice and said, all the words which Yahuah have said will we do. And Moses wrote all the words of Yahuah, and rose up early in the morning, and builded an altar under the hill, and 12 pillars according to the 12 tribes of Yashra'al. And he sent young men of the children of Israel, which offered burnt offerings and sacrificed peace offerings of oxen unto Yahuah. And Moses took half of the blood and put it in basins, and half of the blood he sprinkled on the altar. And he took the book of the covenant.
He took the what?
The book of the covenant, and read in the audience of the people. And they said, all that Yahuah have said will we do, and be obedient. And Moshe or Moses took the blood and sprinkled it on the people, and said, behold, the blood of the covenant.
Stop right there. The whole what? The blood of what?
The covenant.
The covenant.
Which Yahuah have made with you concerning all these words. Then went up Moses and Aharon, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Yashra'al. And they saw Elohim of Israel, And there was under his feet.
They saw Elohim of who? Read that one more time out.
And they saw Elohim, the Elohim of Israel.
And they saw the Elohim of Israel.
And there was under his feet, as it were a paved work of a sapphire stone, and as it was the body of heaven and his clearness. And upon the nobles of the children of Israel he laid not his hand. Also they saw Elohim and did eat and drink. And Yahuah said unto Moshe, or Moses, come up to me unto the mount, and be there, and I will give you tables of stone, and a law, and commandments, which I have written, that you mayest teach them.
So, what do you see has happened here? Remember we were talking about covenants? And how there has to be what? There has to be an offer. There has to be an acceptance. There has to be what? Blood ratification and a covenant meal. Is that not what we just saw here? Yeah. And this is how marriage works in Hebrew culture. All of this is very important. And you see how he kept focusing on Israel, being the Elohim of Israel. And this is why we want to touch base and touch this stuff. So when listening and viewing audience hear us say certain things, I know sometimes the stuff we say, it can be real touchy and kind of might go off being a little offensive because it seems like we're separatists and we're leaving people out. No, we're not. In order for people to get the correct understanding of what the book they possess is about, we have to do this. But because they've been taught so many lies and stuff down through the years, unless you take them to these scriptures as we're doing today and let them read it for themselves, they'll never get the truth, and they'll always be going wayward and following something else. And when it's time for you to line up and be on the side of Yahuah because you didn't get an understanding, guess what? You'll team up and you'll be on the side of Shaitan fighting against Yahuah and his people. Because you feel in some type of way. So, why is all of this important? Now let's go to James 4:12. James or Yahuah 4:12.
Yahuah or James 4 verse 12. There is one lawgiver who is able to save and to destroy. Who art thou that judgest another?
So who is this lawgiver that's able to save and destroy? It's Yahusha. He's the lawgiver. So what we should understand is, and this should help a lot of people that are new in the walk, or new to this faith, or some still might be in Christianity or whatever. So I don't know who's viewing the lesson. When you see that word law, most of the time people see the word law, it all automatically they'll put up a wall, and they don't have anything to do with that. So that was for back then. That's Old Testament. We're in the New Dispensation. That word law to Hebrew is the Torah or the Torah, which simply means instructions. Who are these laws or instructions given to? They were given to Israel. Why were they given to Israel? What's happening in the Torah that we should understand why these instructions were given to Israel. Israel is always viewed as a bride. So, if a man is bringing a woman into a union with him, into his house, is she coming in there unruly? Or is there going to be an outline of what she's expected to do in the house? Rules, regulations, and things that have to be abided by. That's just like in the natural. None of us had a house where there are no rules. As the head of a house, there's expectancy from the ish or the woman, and there's an expectancy from the children. And when it comes to our home, they can easily be kept in an orderly fashion. Because the way it works is, Yahuah gives instructions to the man. And those same instructions are his law, statutes, and commandments. The job of the man is to teach those instructions to the household. So guess what happens when the man is out of the house? Does anyone know the duty of the woman when the man is out of the house?
Carry out his wishes.
Yeah, to enforce the same instructions that the husband has established in the house when he's gone. So if the woman, now what she's doing, she's taking on the role of that ish while he's out. So she's enforcing the same rules and regulations and instructions and passing them down to the kids while the husband or the man of the house is out. And that does what? It keeps order within the home. It keeps unity within the home. Because with it, they'll say a house divided cannot stand. So, that's very important. What did I just say?
A house divided can't stand.
A house divided cannot stand. Because remember, we're still talking about what? A marriage. We're talking about what? A husband and a wife. We're speaking of a house. The husband is who? Yahusha. And the wife is who? Yashra'al. Correctly, Yashra'al, but also commonly called Israel. So, what we see is, we're still dealing with Yashra'al. A house divided cannot stand. Let's go over to Bereshit of Genesis 49 and 10.
Bereshit or Genesis 49 verse 10. The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh come, and unto him shall the gathering of the people be.
Now it says, the scepter shall not depart from you, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh come. And unto him shall be what? The gathering of the people be. A house divided cannot stand. Unto him shall the gathering of the people be. Let's go over to Yahuah of John 14 and 15. The 14th verse, the 14th chapter, we're going to read the 15th verse.
Yahuah or John 14 verse 15. If you love me, keep my commandments.
If you what?
Love me.
if you love me, keep my commandments. So who is this speaking in John?
Yahusha.
It's Yahusha. Who is he speaking to?
It's time to leave. Israelites.
Then he speaking to Israel. He said, if you love me, what?
Keep my commandments.
So you remember we were talking about the Torah? The instructions, or what they call the law? They were given guidelines to follow. And this is how they were going to show and prove their love, because they were going to be obedient to what? To what their husband was asking them to do. Go ahead.
Can you touch on this? And because I was talking to a pastor friend of mine yesterday, and I referenced this verse, and he's saying that there's only 2 commandments, which is love your father and yourself, and then love your neighbor as love Yahuah with all your heart, soul, and mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. So can you show how this is actually related? If it's too much, then we can just move on.
That's very simple.
But how this is actually related to the actual 10 Commandments or the law,
Right.
the Torah, instead of just the 2 that he said,
Right.
or the things that he was saying, we'll say in red. Okay?
Right.
That I need to show that this goes all the way back to the original Torah.
Right, that's very simple to do. So, when Moses went up to Sinai, how many instructions did he come down with? 10. And they're known today as what? The 10 Commandments. So, you even hear, Mashiyach said, you know, on these 2, the rest hang. What's so important about those 2? Now, give me the first one.
Love Yahuah as yourself. No. Love Yahuah with all your heart, your soul, and your mind.
Okay. Think about this. Now, when did they receive the other laws outside of the 10?
The 613? When they were pretty much in the land, right?
What, 603, yeah.
The 603? As they were in the land.
Okay. In the wilderness at Sinai, they got the 10.
Right.
Now remember, they had entered into a covenant. And this covenant was based upon what?
10.
The 10. And remember he said, there has to be in a relationship, what's the basis, the foundation, or the glue that holds any relationship together? What's one thing you got to have in a marriage?
Trust.
Okay, you said trust, but that's going to come with love.
Right.
So, look at the first 4 commandments. You ever notice the first 4 commandments are strictly about Yahuah
Loving you. Or how to.
or Yahusha? They teach you how to love Him. But you ever notice the last 6 teach you what? They strictly deal with your brother.
Yeah.
That's what it says on these 2, the rest hang. And that's when we went to that scripture. What did he say? If you love me, you'll do what? Keep my commandments. And that's another a verse that says, he told them that the people would know of the love that you have for me, how? Say that again, Goti. For how you love your brother. They will be able to observe the love you have for me being your each by the way you love your brother. Because remember, everything in the book that we read is based upon a covenant. So, with that being said, with this covenant, we see that the whole setup is about what was originally given to Yashra'al. Yashra'al didn't originally have 613 laws. They were given what? The covenant first. Y'all remember we was in Bereshit and we were reading about what? The book of the covenant, and he sprinkled what? The book of the covenant with the blood and all. That was on the 10 Commandments.
Right.
That's what he gave Yashra'al. But because of the sin of the golden calf, since they broke the covenant, now something had to take place. Because remember, he told them, just like when they entered into the covenant, just like those animals that had to be cut into pieces and died, and their blood had to be shed. He said, in like manner, what? Whoever breaks that covenant, they can have to be punished or die just like the same manner. But because he loved his bride so, he set something up for them. They gained a Levitical order or priesthood that had a responsibility of what? Sacrificing or shedding blood on behalf of them. So what he did, he gave the children of Yashra'al a maintenance system that would what? Temporarily keep them until what?
Until he returned.
Not just until he returned.
Until the Messianic came and
Yeah, until Mashiyach came what?
died.
And died, shed his blood.
Right.
To do what?
To the sacrifice, redeemed.
To redeem them or bring them back under
Under the covenant.
the original covenant that was established through Abraham.
Right. That's good.
So this is what we have to understand. This is why it's so important. I know this might even be boring, but I just noticed from talking to people here lately, and you hear things come up, and I'm like, you know what? The only way, because I spoke to my wife, I said, let me ask you something. I said, do our messages go off, or do you think they are received or as us being kind of like biased and separatist or racist or whatever, anything like that? She was like, well, not really, but she said, I can understand if, about somebody being outside of the congregation or listening in, if they just all of a sudden come and hear some of the things we say, they might, see it that way or view it that way or something. And I've even asked other people, and some laugh, they'd be like, well, but it can be perceived as that if you don't have the understanding of what this book is and how it's laid out. And that's why we're going back and hitting these things to get a fundamental understanding of what it is that you possess when you hold the Hebrew scriptures. And just the name alone, Hebrew scripture, should end the whole conversation. But because people have been given something else for centuries and centuries and centuries, we have to go unearth and undo a lot of brainwashing and all. But one thing we do know is just from being in the book, we see how we're sticking the course with the scripture. It's not saying anything different than what we teach. We'll let the actual scriptures and the word speak for itself. Let's go to Shemot, Exodus, the 20th chapter, and we're going to read the 6th verse.
Shemot, or Exodus 20, verse 6. And showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments.
And showing mercy unto who? And where we read this from? We read this from Exodus, or Shemot. Who would he have been speaking to in Exodus and Shemot? Yashra'al. Is he not making a reference when he speaks to them in John 14 and 15? This is the same thing he said to the same people. When I say same people, I'm talking about the same bloodline. At Sinai. John is speaking to their offspring. Yahusha is speaking to their offspring. And is he not saying the same thing? If you love me, you do what? Keep my commandments.
You know, one of the things I want to say is that when I'm reading a lot of the time in between the earlier scripture and the later scripture, when he's talking to the Israelites back, let's say here in Exodus, you got to remember, by the time Yahusha shows up on the scene, these people are all dead, pretty much, gone.
Mhm.
And so he's saying it again because somewhere in between all of them, they lost the message. So I believe that's why he's saying it again, or he's reiterating the stuff that he said way back then.
Right, because remember, they had the prophetic writings and scrolls in the Torah for a reason. What people don't understand about the nation of Yashra'al, they always looked for a redeemer, and they knew that there was to be a redeemer to come. But the problem is when you get to the Messianic teaching, they missed the part about that had to, well, I'm not going to say they missed it. It was the Pharisees and the house of Judah who missed the part about they knew when the Redeemer come, he was supposed to come and make war. He was coming as a conquering king. And that's what they were looking for. But what they failed to realize, something that had happened before he could be a conquering king. He had to be a redeemer first. And so this is why he always spoke about and made it plain. The reason why he came, he said, I'm sent what? Unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Which we're going to get in, touch that just a little bit later, because remember what we said about a house divided cannot stand, because right now we're still talking about a marriage. And right now this marriage is unified, this together. But is that the case all the way through the book?
No.
So that sets us up further on into the lesson. Let's go to First Corinthians, the 10th chapter. Because we are still dealing with Yahusha and Yashra'al. So we're in 1 Corinthians, the 10th chapter. Now let's go all the way down to the 4th verse. Now pay very close attention to what Apostle Shaul, commonly called Paul, Apostle Paul. Let's see what Apostle Shaul is saying here. Listen very close to it.
1 Corinthians 10, verse 4. And did all drink the same spiritual drink, for they drank of that spiritual rock that followed them, and that rock was Mashiyach.
You started verse 1 up.
Oh, you said 1.
Yeah, 1 through 4.
Oh, okay. 1 Corinthians 10, verse 1. Moreover, brethren.
Stop right there. Now who is this speaking? What and more specific, what Israelite?
Southern Kingdom.
He was Southern Kingdom, but I'm looking at a specific person. Who's speaking here?
Oh, that's Paul.
Paul, okay. Yeah. Yeah, Apostle Paul. This is very clear. He said, moreover, brethren.
I would, oh, I'm sorry.
Would Shaul be calling ethnos or ethnic Romans his brethren? No, he would be speaking to people who would have to have been Israelites. And let's go